Something short-term goals, you say, okay.
You may accomplish those.
Yeah, right. But as far as like all of this interweaving, right.
Yeah.
Like I could design that.
Step A to step B to step C. It's not. This is only from the Creator. So we have to give Him all the thanks.
That's right.
But He has done a marvelous job in molding you into the person that you are.
Good God.
Yes, isn't it though?
Oh, thank you.
Now, currently, right now, you're doing your thing, because your thing is also not only playing the wonderful music that we all love, but your thing also is educating the children. I mean, that is actually how you and I kind of met.
That's right.
Because we were talking about, because everyone knows the premise of Jazz on My Mind is keeping jazz alive.
Yes.
And of course, we've got the legends, who are doing their thing. We've got the Ramsey Lewises, the Gary Barts. But we know after a period of time, that torch has to be passed. And this is why what you're doing is such a tremendous thing in educating the children. Now, you're currently doing that at the Wilmington Youth Jazz, or what is it called exactly?
Wilmington Youth Jazz Band.
Right.
That's the name of the
organization. Now, tell us a little bit about that.
I started that organization in 2003 when I was in a wheelchair.
Okay.
And I didn't have anything else to do, I could have done a number of things.
Yeah.
But God navigated that into my spirit, and I applied for a grant at Berklee College of Music because I'm an alumni at Berklee, and got it. And so that's what I did while I was in a wheelchair, which goes to show that our adversity can be our victory. So
when you mentioned a wheelchair, I mean, you said that. I just can't go past that, because looking at you now, obviously that's something else God has brought you through. What happened, if I can ask?
I had ankle surgery.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And you can't do anything without those ankles.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. And you can't, it's different from hip or knee surgery, because you can't put any weight on your ankle until it, the bones and everything
have fused together. So that gave you ample time to sit back and put other things together and move forward.
But I never would have thought it started Wilmington Youth Jazz Band. Once again, like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Right.
I could have been just like coming up with recipes or something.
Yeah.
Feeding my dogs and cats.
Right.
Adopting kids.
But the Wilmington Youth Band
that came
to the forefront.
Yeah.
Now, when we talk about the Wilmington Youth Jazz Band, I know these kids gotta love you. They gotta respect you. They gotta love you for, number one, what you're doing for them and what you have accomplished as an artist yourself.
That's cute. It's funny because the kids that you work with, unless you really talk about yourself, which I don't much, you're like the girl next door, the woman next door that sometimes gets on your nerves, Right. And so I think that they've grown to know my legacy or my attributes. But they pretty much treat me like part of the household, which is good, because they know that, like a parent, what do you expect of your child? Once you have taught them certain things, you get up, you make your bed, you eat your breakfast, you go to school, you do a good job, you do your best, So they see me as that type of person. Which is the type of person Robert Lowry was.
And we all know about Boise.
Right.
Boise was the man for many, many years. Yeah. He taught the great Clifford Brown. He taught his nephew, Dexter Coons, who you've seen on Jazz on My Mind many times. He also instructed Wilby Fletcher, the great late Wilby Fletcher.
Ernie Watts. So many people.
And I mean, that's incredible. Yeah. Tell me about your relationship with Robert Lowry.
Well, that's what made me think of it, because one of the things that he used to do to get me to his house would let me know that his wife was cooking. That's what I'm saying.
So that's all it took.
Edna gonna have some food over here for you, Faustine. And I'd be like, man, it's Saturday, because I go over on Saturday. We could go to Christina Cultural Arts, the old one, off of on the east side. We could go there like during the week. But as far as private lessons, that was on his time, you see.
Right.
So he had his students that he would, kind of pull in. And sometimes I was tired,
But that
food thing, yeah. And the desserts and...
Wow.
But, he was so loving, and he was so genuine, and he was so consistent, and he was so... just his spirit. His spirit was motivational, and I saw on Wilby's interview with you, he knew what it took to motivate that child from that child from that child. See, some kids need a smack.
They do.
Some kids need to be, played with or, dealt with gently. And he, because of his spirit man, knew how to deal with each one of his students. It was amazing. So I think God has kind of given me, that type of insight to work with. And most of our kids, because of what they already made up their mind to do, need to stay focused. I need to keep them focused, and they don't really like too much babying.
Yeah,
they're very competitive.
Right. Oh, really? That's wonderful.
Yeah, they're very competitive.
Right.
What I would like to do though is get more inner city kids. It seemed like it started one way, and now because of the fruition and the success of the program, we've attracted more the outskirts with the suburbs, and people who already have a serious interest in music. I'd like to get more of those kids who
in the city
who don't have that opportunity, who don't have the parents with the time to really put into their lives. So they need somebody like us. Because I'm not the only person that makes it happen. We have Vernon James, we have James Dixon. They're so dedicated to the program. And that's beautiful. Yeah. Because that's what the youth need. They need direction, number one. And they need to be focused, and they need to have discipline. And if you can instill those, you've got yourself a good product to work with. Now, when I mention that about your legacy and the kids knowing, if the kids don't know, the parents know who you are. Yeah. And they know this from the places where you have performed, the awards you have received. I mean, that is tremendous. And speaking of performing, where are some of the places that you have performed? Give us an idea where you've carried that sack. And I know it's been new. I mean, it's been the Apollo, the Kennedy Center. Which one stand out in your mind the most? Which one of your performances? Wow. Take a minute to do some more wows to think about to focus. Wow. Give us an idea of a couple of your most memorable performances. Radio City. Oh man, Radio City Music Hall. What a big place. I went there to go see the Rockettes when I was a kid. Tell me what your memory of Radio City. First of all, my baritone had gotten destroyed. Now, how old were you at this time? In my 20s. So you had already started that journey, and you would... Right. Tell us, what happened? I was with Marvin Gaye. Oh, wow. And my horn got demolished. They wouldn't let us put some of the horns, special big baritone, on the plane. And so they guaranteed Marvin, oh, nothing's going to happen. We're going to put the horn, where we put the animals, and we're going to treat it with care. Well, got the horn off the plane when we got to when we got to New York, right? But I was trying to think of where we were coming from, somewhere from the West Coast. And my horn was twisted like a pretzel. Oh my God. I cried. I mean, that was like my arm. Yeah. And Ralph was the road director.